Today we are saving the world. That's right, gang, it's pandemic time. But this time it's you and your friends who are working together to save the world of 4 deadly diseases. Welcome to Board Game Bananas, and this is how to play. You win this game by curing the world of the 4 deadly diseases: yellow, red, blue and black. You cure the diseases by playing 5 cards of that colour. There are 3 ways in which you can lose. One is when the outbreak marker reaches the skull and crossbones on level 8. Another way you can lose is when you have to infect more cities but have run out of the disease cubes in that colour. And as if that wasn't hard enough, there is a 3rd way you can lose, and that is when the playing deck is empty. Start setup by taking the top 3 cards on the infection deck and infecting these cities with 3 disease cubes. Please note that the colour of disease cube you're infecting the cities with is the colour of the card. So in this case, Tokyo and Taipei are both red and Washington DC is blue. Then take the next 3 cards on the infection deck and infect these cities with 2 disease cubes each. And as if that wasn't hard enough, take the next 3 cities on the infection deck and infect these cities with only 1 infection cube. Next, shuffle the deck of playing cards and hand some out to each player. The number of playing cards that each player starts with depends on the number of players playing, and I'll put a matrix on the screen now. Next, take the 7 character cards, shuffle them, and deal 1 randomly to each player. These character cards contain special abilities that may help you win the game. Then take the pawn from each corresponding colour and place it in Atlanta along with a research centre. Next, you need to decide how many of the epidemic cards you're going to be playing with. For a very difficult legendary level game, you can play with all 6. Otherwise, for experienced players, 5 is recommended. But for beginners, 4 is absolutely plenty. If you're playing with 4 epidemic cards, then divide the playing cards into 4 separate but even piles. Then take an epidemic card and shuffle 1 into each pile. Do that for all 4. And then take these 4 piles and pile them up, one on top of the other, and return it to the game board. I'll explain later on what those epidemic cards do and why it's easier if you're only playing with 4 of them. Also set the infection rate marker on the 2 that is furthest to the left. Set the outbreak marker on 0, and again I'll explain later in the video how outbreaks occur and why they are best avoided. And finally, you're completely set up and ready to start playing. So without further ado, let's go through the gameplay. The gameplay works in 3 separate phases. First, you can perform any 4 out of 8 possible actions. After that, you pick up 2 new cards from the playing deck, and then after that, you pick up more cards from the infection deck and you infect more cities. The 8 possible actions are as follows. Firstly, you can move from one city to the next along the lines that are provided on the board. Do note that at the edge of the board, it is possible to go, for example, from Los Angeles all the way over to Sydney. A second way of moving is by playing one of your cards, and then you can move your figure to the city that's mentioned on the card. In this case, I can move to Baghdad, like so. A third way of moving is by taking a charter flight. This works by playing the card corresponding to the city that you're already in. And by doing so, I would be able to move wherever I like in the world. Also, if I'm in a city with a research station, I would be able to move to another city that also has a research station. Those are the 4 different ways in which you can move. Another possible action is to build a research station. Do this by playing the card that matches the city that you're in, and then place a white research station token on the board. The game comes with 6 research station tokens, but if all of them are played and you want to build another one, then you can move one from somewhere else on the board. Another possible action is to cure a disease. In this case, you do it when you're in a city that's been infected, and you can remove one infection cube. Players can also share knowledge with each other. If both pawns are in the same city, then they can pass the card corresponding to that city to and from each other. Finally, you have the option of curing a disease, which of course is the objective of this game. You do that by playing 5 cards of the same colour, and then you have cured that disease. Do that for all 4 colours and you've won. When you've found a cure for a disease, then when you're in a city and you're curing some of that disease, rather than just taking 1 dice off per action, you're able to remove every dice that's in that city. Please note as well that when you're doing your 4 actions of the 8 possible action types, you absolutely can do the same action type more than once. When you've done your 4 actions, it's time to pick up 2 new playing cards, and you can have a maximum of 7 in your hand. If you have more than that, which I do now for instance, you have to discard one on the discard pile. And finally, it's time to infect some cities. Take some cards from the infection deck. The number of cards that you take depends on where the counter is along here. So you start by taking 2, and then as the counter gradually moves up, you take more cards and then infect more cities each time. In this case, I've got Johannesburg and Madrid. Do note that even though I've cured the blue disease, blue cities do still get infected. Unless, of course, you've eradicated a disease. And the way you eradicate a disease is by slowly but surely taking all blue dice off the map. Then you flip this one over, then it's been eradicated. And at that point, even if you take another blue card, it doesn't really do anything. During the pick up cards phase, it is of course possible that you would end up grabbing an epidemic card. What happens then is 3 things. Firstly, you will raise the infection rate by moving the tile 1 step along. Secondly, you will take the bottom card from the infection deck and then place 3 disease cubes in this city. And then thirdly, you will shuffle the already used infection cards and then place them on top of the infection deck. This means that the next cities that are going to be infected are ones that have been infected previously, and you raise the risk of an outbreak. But what is an outbreak? An outbreak occurs when you take an infection card and end up having to infect a city that already has 3 infection cubes. What happens then is that rather than this city being overloaded, is that the infection spreads to all cities that are connected by a line. If you're really not careful, you can have what's known as a chain reaction outbreak. For example, if I was to draw Hong Kong, Hong Kong already has 3 red cubes, so that means that every city connected to Hong Kong by a line would then also get a red cube. But you will notice that Taipei similarly is owed a red cube, but also already has 3. So what happens then is a chain reaction, which means that every city connected to Taipei is then also given a red cube. When an outbreak occurs, move the outbreak marker 1 step down. And yes, if a chain reaction outbreak occurs, it must be moved twice. And there we have it. Remember, the objective of the game is to find a cure for all 4 diseases. It's very easy when you're playing thinking that the objective is to remove all the cubes from the board. That's not the objective. The objective is to find a cure for the diseases. You don't even necessarily have to eradicate all the diseases, you just need to find a cure. But There are three main ways that you can lose this game, either by running out of cubes, which in this case I'm running very low on red cubes at the moment, or when the infection marker reaches 8, or also when the playing deck is empty. I'd love to know your thoughts about Pandemic. I've got to say I've been really enjoying it, but I do have a review video coming very shortly, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that one. But yeah, if you've made it this far, I'd love to know your thoughts about Pandemic. Please write me a comment down below, give this video a like if you haven't already. And yeah, take care, good luck, and hey, go and save the world. Take care.